Mr. Gjoni, who since 2005 has been an advisor and a component leader for USAID projects in Kosovo. For that, he worked for the United Nations. Before that, he worked for the United Nations in Kosovo. He was also an expert working on drafting the Kosovo Constitution in 2008. He is currently a PhD candidate at the School of Politics and International Relations of the University College Dublin and a Fulbright Scholar. He holds a Master's of Law degree from Columbia Law School and a law degree from Faculty of Law at the University of Tirana in Albania. And Mr. Gjoni.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dear members of committee, I would like to say that I have made a full written statement, which I wish, with your permission, to be included as a part of the record, and I'll hereby summarize the main elements of it.
And with no objection, so ordered.
So my presentation today is mainly based from a policy-making perspective. I come here after working with Pristina institutions and many extensive experience in Serb communities in Kosovo with the establishment of post-independence municipalities. So I'll explain the positions of the parties when this EU brokered agreement started, where did it end, and what does it mean for the future or the sustainable peace in the Balkans. First, I must say that in October 2012, EU High Representative Ashton managed to bring together for the first time after independence the two prime ministers, and the central issue revolved around the status of the northern, predominantly Serb municipalities. Pristina started from a perspective that the Ahtisaari plan was sufficient to address all potential concerns of Serb community in Kosovo in terms of cultural preservation, living as Serbs within Kosovo. And Serbia started with a new political platform for discussions with Pristina institutions, which provided extensive powers for a Serb community in the North Kosovo, extending as well in the southern enclaves. After several rounds, with several walkouts from both representatives, delegations, we have now seen one rejection on 4th of April by the Prime Minister of Serbia, arguing that what has been offered by EU does not address the concerns of the Serb community in the north. And on 19th of April, we have a 15-point agreement. This is now important to see what the position of the parties came to be after the renewed talks. Now, Kosovo has gone beyond the Ahtisaari plan in accepting partially the Serbian request. For one, elevating the status of the Serb community to almost an autonomous monoethnic entity, allowing the 4 municipalities to coalesce and have the police commander for the region and 4 police stations, a separate panel of judges, and I hope it is not true, but it has been reported that under guarantees from NATO, it has been agreed that no Kosovo security, intelligence, or police forces will ever access or operate in the area. Now, this, as you may better know from McCulloch versus Maryland in the United States, is very consequential for the territorial integrity of Kosovo, because even in federal states, the federal government can and should, in the limited areas where it is sovereign, intervene for different reasons in a region. In this particular case, it appears that no Kosovo institution can ever reach there, even if it's about scenarios of rebellious attitudes from a local population. So the second thing that I would like to point out is that it has been, during the Ahtisaari talks, the policy of international EU and US negotiators that a human rights-based approach and not a territorial-based approach is the solution to Kosovo's future. And we have looked carefully to Ohrid Agreement and Bosnia, and without any doubt, people thought back then that the best institutional mix for ensuring all communities in Kosovo was a human rights minority-based approach modeled around Ohrid. What we see now, we see a further territorialization of politics, which is a departure from the concept of a multi-ethnic society, which is the linchpin of Ahtisaari incorporated in Kosovo Constitution. The second problem that I see in this agreement is that it's uneven. While we can see the move of Kosovo into approaching or accommodating the Serb community, it has not been the persistence of EU to ensure that at least Kosovo is not blocked in the membership in the UN system. Of course, there is some thrown away provision about not blocking each other on EU integration, but what does that mean when 5 nations don't recognize Kosovo anyway? So what can Serbia help there? I don't understand. And the third is, where do we go from now? I think if there is any good thing that this has shown is that EU, regardless of economic downturn and crisis, has a significant appeal in the Western Balkans, and it may be the only thing that Albanians and Serbs agree on is the EU integration. Therefore, I think, first, there is no room for complacency here. Second, there should be a point where EU and US redirect the parties towards a comprehensive deal, which deals with missing persons, which deals with war reparations, which deals with border demarcations, and reciprocity in terms of how we treat minorities, no matter where they are straddled. And this is why I think US has a significant role to back this agreement, ensure that this is only a first step, very pragmatic though. Thank you very much.
We have one that came all the way from Dublin to tell the truth. And that's what we needed the United States Congress for, to be sure that what happened at this hearing put the truth on a table where people can question it, reflect on it, and hopefully we will keep the United States involved in making. Let me turn to Roland Gjoni, who was one of the witnesses, to kind of comment on what he thinks about the hearing. You keep that right there.
So I came to this hearing with a clear purpose of at least putting the truth in the record, that what has been applauded internationally as a landmark agreement is, in my view, an overly pragmatic, half measure and quick fix. And I pointed to 3 problems that I see may lead to further conflict in the future. One is, it's a departure from the conflict of a multi-ethnic Kosovo by strengthening or elevating the status of Serbs even further. Second is creating no ties whatsoever for a reorientation of Serb community in the north with Pristina. And third, while Kosovo was in a way pressured to make some concessions, at least partial, to the Serb position during the negotiations, we did not see the same reciprocity from the Serb side. So EU did not ask from Serbia the commitment that it will not block Kosovo internationally from joining the UN system. So my appeal to this subcommittee of the US Congress was that there is no room for complacency here, no room for resting on laurels, but it should immediately, as a first step that was achieved, it should be backed by a comprehensive deal that leads to European values and good neighborly relations once and forever, as opposed to outsmarting, out-tricking, and outmaneuvering each other down the road. And this, I think, it's good that it's in the record and people will critically look at it.